Okay, Jasher Maccabees here. This is part two of Herodias, Egypt, and where we left off with Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers. And Joseph, in part one, at the very end, we were reading Jasher 42, where Joseph is crying out to his mother's grave and he's communicating. He's communicating with her. And she's reassuring him that he's going to be protected by Yahuah. But let's take a look at Jasher 51. Jasher 51, because his brothers did not recognize him when he was in Egypt. Jasher 51, and let's take a look at verse 11. We're going to go 11 through 20. Jasher 51. And also all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. Let me start again. Verse 11. And all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim gathered all sorts of food in their stores in great abundance during the 7 good years. But they did not do to it as Joseph did. And all the food which Joseph and the Mitzrayim had gathered during the 7 years of plenty was secured for the land in stores for the 7 years of famine, for the support of the whole land. Verse 13, and the inhabitants of Mitzrayim filled each man his store and his concealed place with grain to be for supporting during the famine. Verse 14, and Joseph placed all the food that he had gathered in all the cities of Mitzrayim, and he closed all the stores and placed sentinels over them. Verse 16, and Joseph's woman, Asenath, the daughter of Potai and Phinera, bore him 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Joseph was 34 years old when he begat them. And the lads grew up, and they went in their ways and in his instructions. They did not deviate. That's big. They did not deviate from the way which their father taught them, either to the right or left. Verse 17. And Yahuah was with the lads, and they grew up and had understanding and skill in all wisdom and in all the affairs of government. And all the king's officers and his great men of the inhabitants of Mitzrayim exalted the lads, and they were brought up amongst the king's children. Verse 18, and the 7 years of plenty that were throughout the land were at an end, and the 7 years of famine came after, as Joseph had spoken. And the famine was throughout the land. Verse 19. And all the people of Mitzrayim saw that the famine had commenced in the land of Mitzrayim. And all of the people of Mitzrayim opened their stores of grain, for the famine prevailed over them. And they found all the food that was in their stores, full of, they found theirs full of vermin and not fit to eat. And the famine prevailed throughout the land. And all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim came and cried before Pharaoh, for the famine was heavy upon them. Okay, verse 21. And I'm still trying to get to, Joseph's brothers. So I'm trying to, give a little background. So some of these Egyptians, they stored all this food, but the vermin ate it up. And so they're coming to Pharaoh saying, hey, we need some food. So anyway, verse 21. And they said to Pharaoh, give food to your servants, and wherefore shall we die through hunger before your eyes, even we and our little ones? Verse 22, and Pharaoh answered them, saying, and wherefore do you cry to me? Did not Joseph command that the grain should be laid up during the 7 years of plenty for the years of famine? He's like, well, okay, and wherefore did you not hearken to his voice? And the people of Mitzrayim answered the king, saying, as your soul lives, your Adonai, your servants have done all that Joseph ordered, and your servants also gathered in all the produce of your fields during the 7 years of plenty, and laid it in the stores to this day. And when the famine prevailed over your servants, we opened our stores, and behold, all of our produce was filled with vermin, and was not fit for food. And when the king heard all that had befallen the inhabitants of Mitzrayim, the king was greatly afraid on the account of the famine, and he was much terrified. And the king answered the people of Mitzrayim, saying, since all of this has happened to you, go to Joseph. Do whatsoever he shall say unto you. Transgress not his commands. Like, go listen to him. Go see what he's going to have to say. Say, verse 26. And all the people of Mitzrayim went forth and came to Joseph and said to him, give us food, and wherefore shall we die before you through hunger? For we gathered in our produce during the 7 years as you did command, and we put it in store, and thus has it befallen us. And when Joseph heard all the words of the people of Mitzrayim and what had befallen them, Joseph opened all of his stores of produce, and he sold. Joseph, during this time, thinking ahead, Joseph sold it to the people of Mitzrayim. And the famine prevailed throughout the land, and the famine was in all countries. But in the land of Mitzrayim, there was produce for sale. And all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim came to Joseph to buy grain, for the famine prevailed over them. And all their grain was spoiled, and Joseph daily sold it to all the people of Mitzrayim, and all the inhabitants of the land of Canaan and Philistia, and those beyond the Jordan, and the children of the east, and all the cities of the lands far and nigh heard that there was grain in Mitzrayim. And they all came to Mitzrayim to buy grain, for the famine prevailed over them. So there's a famine all over the land. Everybody's coming to Egypt or Mitzrayim under the direction of Joseph. Verse 31. And Joseph opened the stores of grain and placed officers over them. And they daily stood and sold to all that came. Verse 32. And Joseph knew that his brethren would also come to Mitzrayim to buy grain, for the famine prevailed throughout the earth. And Joseph commanded all his people that they should cause it to be proclaimed throughout the land of Mitzrayim, saying, is it the pleasure of the king or his second of their great men that any person who wishes to buy grain in Mitzrayim shall not send his servants to Mitzrayim to purchase, but his sons? And also any Mitzrayim or Canaan who shall come from any of the stores from buying grain in Mitzrayim and shall go and sell it throughout the land, he shall die. So if somebody's trying to take some grain, I'm gonna go have a little side hustle. Not gonna. Everybody's coming to a one-stop shop. Okay, so shall die. For no one shall buy but for the support of his household. Verse 34. And any man leading 2 or 3 beasts shall die, for a man shall only lead his own beast. Verse 35. I think we're going to 44. Okay, we're verse 35. And Joseph placed sentinels at the great gates of Mitzrayim and commanded them, saying, any person who may come to buy grain, suffer him not to enter until his name and the name of his father and the name of his father's father be written down. And whatsoever is written by day, send their names to me in the evening, that I may know their names. Verse 36. And Joseph placed officers throughout the land of Mitzrayim, and he commanded them to do all these things. Verse 37. And Joseph did all these things and made, and made these statutes in order that he might know when his brothers should come to Mitzrayim to buy grain. And Joseph's people caused it daily to be proclaimed in Mitzrayim according to these words and statutes with which Joseph had commanded. So that gives you a little idea. A little idea. Wow.